Welcome back to the Valentine Show, guys. I am your host. We have a very interesting guest today. He's gonna say some controversial things, but what I like about him is that he's steadfast and he's kind of like non-apologetic in a good way. He's a strong believer of what he believes, and we're gonna get into some topics today that some people, frankly, might not like. But this is the world we live in, and we need to find solutions to these problems instead of constantly just complaining about them. I introduce to you guys Kayo. Talk to me, brother. How you feeling, brother?
I'm doing wonderful, man. Thank you for having me, brother.
All right. I discovered him through the magic of the YouTube algorithm. Gave me one of his videos, and we're gonna get into it right away. The video that YouTube recommended, at least the first one, was actually, before I get into that, I just want to congratulate you on the fact that you were featured on the Larry Elder Show.
Thank you.
Because I know in one of your videos you do mention that he was a big influence in you, and look at that. Just as fate will have it, right? God moves in mysterious ways. He features you incredibly. So congratulations on that, brother.
Right. Thank you, brother.
Let's talk a little bit about the video. Is titled something to the effect that you hated white people. Hate is a very strong sentiment. How did you come to hating white people when, quote unquote, you didn't have no direct experience with a person of the white race doing something bad against you, but yet you got this strong sentiment of hating them? How do you come to hate people like that?
So basically, I come from a strong Caribbean background, and I think for a lot of Black families in America to the Caribbean, we constantly tell our kids that because you're Black, you're going to have a harder time in life, and that you're going to be struggling.
Where are you from again? What is your roots?
I'm American. I'm from New York.
Okay.
But culturally, and my parents are from Jamaica. So I have a Jamaican family.
Yeah, man. Jamaica.
Jamaica, yeah, man. It's kind of like one of those things where I feel like a lot of Black parents instill in their kids from a young age that because you're Black, there are a lot of people that's not going to like you. You're going to have a harder time. Because I even remember the times where I used to visit my father in New York. A lot of times, they kind of give you that speech, because you're Black, you have a strike against you, and that you're going to have a harder time because you're a Black man. So the seeds were kind of already planted in that. So, and then also my family, a few of my family members are part of the Nation of Islam.
Okay.
And of course, this is a group that a lot of times tends to hate Caucasians a lot. And one of my uncles, when you have family gatherings and, we talk around the table, whatever, a lot of times these subjects come up. And,
yeah, definitely.
One of those things is white people are evil. I mean, look how much destruction they've done to the world. Like the greatest sin in ever is being a white man, because they caused so much destruction. So it's like little by little, those seeds have been planted. So coming into my college years, I also had friends who are very Black extremists. I don't know if they're a part of these Black supremacist groups or whatever, but just being around a lot of Black people, you tend to find those types who are constantly always saying how Black people are oppressed and, the white man is evil. My dad used to tell me when I was younger that the white man made the Bible to enslave Black people. So it's kind of like over time, just hearing these all your life, it starts to grow, and it especially blossomed when I was in college, when kind of the start of this whole leftist ideology started to grow. And when I was in college, just being on social media and just seeing all my friends talk about how, cops are always killing us, a Black man can't get ahead. So constantly having that drilled in your head 24/7, you start to believe it. And when you can't hear the opposing argument against that, you tend to adopt that worldview. So it's like slowly I started having the glasses of racism put over my eyes, and I started seeing everything from the lens of racism. So that's when I started hating white people, and I started, thinking that every white person was racist.
How about the professors? Were you getting that sentiment from the professors? Were they spewing some type of leftist ideology from professors?
Well, thankfully, I got out of. I kind of stopped going to college right before that. I feel like that wave kind of came in. But looking back, even in high school and even American history class, I look back at it now, and I'm like, my American history teacher was probably a Democrat, because a lot of stuff that I'm learning now about history was never taught to me in high school and even in college. I had a few leftist professors that, but at the time, because I didn't know any better, I thought what he was saying was actually good, you know.
You and me have
So
actually the same. Sorry to cut you off. You and me actually have the same experience in college. When I
mhm,
went to college, right, which I didn't graduate, but when I went to college, I got spewed leftist ideology, but I did not know what it was because I was not involved at all with politics. I don't know what it was,
mhm,
but believe it or not, I was still able to combat him and his ideas without me knowing anything about these ideas. And again, I'm looking back hindsight, like you're looking back. I'm like, yo, but this professor was this full on liberal, and I didn't even know about
right,
it, you know.
right.
But so you finished college, right? By the time you finished college, or I'm not sure if you finished. You finished college?
Nah, I
Okay,
haven't finished
okay.
college yet.
But by the time that you get out of college, right? You were full on hating white people.
Yeah, it was kind of like close to the end of my run in college, I would say, is when I really started hating white people, and that's also when the Michael Brown thing came up too. So
Yeah.
everyone was kind of speaking this everywhere, and then I started believing that. So
But
it
like
was
truly, like you really like believe that they were like kind of, you were really racist towards white people. Now it's not like a little bit, but like you saw them, you saw a white person, you saw that they were affluent, that they were doing good. You saw that's the enemy. That's the reason I'm doing bad.
thankfully it didn't get that far, but it
Mm-hmm.
was mainly more of, oh my, I think for a lot of black people, we assume every white person is racist, no matter what. Even if they say they're not racist, we think they are. So it's like every white person I'm seeing on the street, I would think like, oh, they're privileged. Oh, they have life better than me because they're white. Oh, they'll probably be more accepted because they're white. Even looking back now, it actually started when I was in middle school in eighth grade,
Mm-hmm.
because in eighth grade, I actually ended up going to a predominantly white school in my eighth grade year, and I would say that's like my first ever exposure to like a mass number of white people, and because of the seeds that were planted from since I was a kid, I would even look at them and be like, "Oh, all these white people probably don't like me because I'm black." Even if, like, for example,
Mm.
they're laughing at a black person, I would think, "Oh, they're laughing at him because he's
He's
black."
black. Okay,
And
so you
even when
would
I
input race where race wasn't even the factor. It was just something else. You
exactly
would just see. You had, like you say, you had your glasses, your racist glasses that you see everything through the lens of race first, and then everything else is kind of secondary.
pretty much, yeah.
I mean, that's crazy and insane, and that's the importance of, I guess, the people you surround yourself against. I mean, you didn't have no choice when it's your family members. Those are your family members, and they're gonna be your family members whether they are whatever they are. They're still gonna be your family members. But you know,
Right.
if you surround yourself with a lot of that, those ideas, they, like you said, they take root, and then you start believing all this stuff. I know social media played a important part in your conversion, right?
Yeah.
But did social media play a part in your um racism towards the white people? Or how did that have any effect on you of what you were seeing online and whatnot?
Definitely, because I mean, majority of my friends on Facebook were black, or
Mm-hmm.
more young people, and I find that a lot
Mm.
of more young people tend to believe that stuff. So constantly, you will see memes about, Jesus wasn't white, Jesus was a black man,
As if that's important. To me, doesn't matter. Jesus could
eh,
be
eh,
blue. I don't care. I'm gonna still follow
eh,
Jesus.
thank you, exactly, and seeing stuff like how let's not forget slavery, don't forget what they done to us. It's kind of like they keep reminding you to forget to keep remembering the horrors of the past,
Yeah,
and it's like you moved on from that, but they still want to keep let you. It's kind of like by telling you that,
yeah.
they still want you to not forget that these people did that to us. So kind of like a lot of those posts, and thankfully this was before 2015, so
Mm-hmm.
this was kind of like the start of it. So it's not like right now where it's everywhere
Yeah, yeah.
at the beginning. So it wasn't necessarily leftist talking points as strong as they are now, but it's mainly just things like, white people are evil. I mean, if you type in God on Google search, all you see is white people. So it's like they're conditioning you to feel like white people think they're better than everybody because they're everywhere, and that like cops keep killing us. All the same rhetoric that everyone keeps talking about. So social media, yes, did have a part to play, because a lot of my friends and a lot of the memes that will be shared,
Yeah.
without doing your proper research, you believe it because it makes sense on paper,
Mm-hmm.
but Yeah, so I would say, yeah, social media did kind of affect me a lot
And it's crazy
in that way.
because you said it wasn't this crazy before, but I believe it started all under the incredible. I say this incredibly because I mean, out of all things, it started then. It started under the Obama presidency.
Oh yeah,
It
oh
started
yeah,
when the country elects a black president. When the quote unquote racist country elects a black president for 2 terms, not even one,
yeah.
2 terms, and they still
Two
want to
terms.
label the whole country as a racist country. It started under them, and the Obamas were major proponents of this uh, victim mentality, where it was telling people, "Oh no, the white man and this." As a matter of fact, Michelle Obama the other day came out saying that she felt uh,
Yep.
ostracized because she was a black woman when she was the first lady. I'm like, you're literally probably a very powerful woman. I'm not saying that she's gonna be the second most powerful woman or the first most powerful woman in the world because she's married to the president. I'm not sure she has any powers like that, but she's a very well respected, or probably the most known person when she woman when she was the first lady, and she was very loved, unlike Melania Trump, which is this
Yeah.
woman is hated. But she comes out and says this to play this constant victimology and all this and all that, and I'm like, why would you want to divide the country now? I always say that Obama had the golden ticket, and by that I say that Obama could have been the great uniter. He could have
Yeah.
actually buried the hatchet once and for all on the racism thing, right? Be like, no, look, just
Definitely.
look at me. This country that you guys call racist elected me twice. He could have been the uniter between black and white people, right? And
Yeah.
one more than a great uniter of a person that exemplifies the marriage of the white and black race, which is Barack Obama, which is half white and half black.
Exactly. A lot of people forget that. Yeah.
He's half black and half white, and you could have united. Yet he chose to be the divider, and he chose to do other agendas, which I agree 100%. So now that we know how you got into how you got this sentiment, which was a combination of different things, right? And the atmosphere and the school and whatever. How did you get yourself out of that? What made you question the first? Do you remember the first time that you say, "Wait a second, why am I thinking like this?" How did you get out of that? I think in one of your videos you call it the darkness. How you get out of that darkness and come into started. Wait, let me see what this person has to do or say. That's different than what I think.
So I became a Christian in my ninth grade year of high school. I was born again, and I was on fire for God. Like I had the Holy Spirit live within me, and I've been living my Christian life for a while now, and I noticed that I was having a lot of hatred in my heart, and it didn't sit right with me. Like I was miserable, like I was bitter. Like I would, just how I was seeing the world was just messing me up inside, and I'm like, okay, something's wrong here. I didn't know what to like kind of point it as, but I knew something was wrong. So
Mm-hmm.
what I decided, I was very close to my pastor, so I decided to have a meeting with him and just kind of share my heart, what I was going through. And I don't remember all the details of the
Mm-hmm.
conversation specifically, but it kind of boiled down to my pastor was like, uh, uh, you know, you can't hate anybody, or everyone is sin, and that
Yes.
at one point in America, in your American, being an American, a white person is going to help you, and that you can't hate people, can't have that bitterness in your heart. So that was kind of like the gist of it, pretty much. And after that I was like, yeah, he's right.
He was a black man.
He's a black man,
Okay.
yes, he's a black man. And from that point on, I was like, yeah, like everyone is a sinner. Like,
Yeah.
I gotta die and face God and be responsible for the things I did. So I can't have hatred for somebody else because I myself am evil. Even if all what I was believing was true, like I myself am evil. So it's not like when I die, God's gonna be like, okay, come into heaven because you're a black man. I know white racism kind of affect you, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, that was kind of like at least some chains were broken off of that. And even when the Michael Brown thing happened, like I didn't know anything about stats or statistics or anything
Uh-huh.
like that, but just what I've observed in my own community, I realized that a lot of black people, we hurt each other more than any white guy has. Like I never lived in the projects, but I've been around kind of
Yeah.
sketchy areas and a lot of gang violence, a lot of reckless youth. So even when the Michael Brown thing came out, I was like, hey, we kill ourselves more than any cop kills us, and that's not even based on stats. That's just my observation on the world.
But you can't even bring that up now because that's kind of like, well, I have brought it up, and then people say, "Hey, Well, you're not supposed to bring that up now. This is not the time to bring that up. I'm like, but you
Exactly.
need to know this stuff. If you're saying, for example, LeBron James says that they're hunting black people, right? I'm like, okay, so tell me what is the difference? What is the numbers, right? Because you need the stats to find out if they're really hunter. Compare, and then you compare it to blacks and to whites and to Hispanics and to all that. But you bring that up, and they're like, no, don't bring it up now. And then you bring up the fact, like you said, that sadly, I mean, nobody's proud of this. It's like you don't say it to make a point or to just to win an argument. You're saying to let's find a solution, right? But they thinking that you bring
Exactly.
it up to that, no, black people kill more, they kill themselves more. Oh, I won. No, it's not about that. It's about, can we find the solutions to the problem, right? And you say that
Exactly.
you bring that up, and you're like, uh it makes perfect sense. But you get blacklisted for bringing up black on black crime. Like,
Yeah. You're not helping the problem. You're hurting the problem.
you
You know.
is insanity. I mean, but it's crazy. Let's you've in I went through your other channel that you have here, and by the way, we're gonna be giving links to all his channel and all this stuff right after this question. um
Nice.
and where you talk about that, how did you end up going to Japan? That's the first thing. A black man in Japan. Talk to me about that, man. I actually want to go to Japan. I am I mentioned to you that I play Street Fighter, so
Yeah.
that's Capcom. All that comes from Japan. I am a huge car enthusiast, so
Mm.
they have a lot of crazy cars out in Japan that I'm interested in. I want to go to Japan, but how did you end up in Japan?
So the story is that since I was younger, I was exposed to anime. I
Mm.
remember on Cartoon Network there was a Tsunami block, so I grew up
Yeah, I
watching
remember
like
that.
the classics, Digimon, Pokemon, all that kind of stuff. So
Uh-huh.
from a young age, I had an interest in anime. When I got into middle school, that's when the show Naruto blew up.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of like the gateway to a whole nother universe, and that's where I started. Me and my brother, my younger brother, started really getting into it. So in high school, I really wanted to go to Japan because I think for most people who are into like video games and cartoons and animes, that eventually at one point they want to go to Japan because all this greatness is coming from here.
That's
We
like
definitely want to
The
go.
Mecca that you need to make a
Exactly.
pilgrimage to Japan. If you like anime, if you like video games, Japan is where to go.
Exactly. And of course, like just by all the shows you watch, it makes it seem like Japan is just this mystical, awesome place, you know. So at high school, I wanted to go to Japan. So what that led me into researching the culture, and from that, I actually started falling in love with the country itself because
Mm.
that was really my first exposure to some place that wasn't Jamaica or America, and it was on the other
Mm.
side of the world. So just how they think, how they process, and all of that stuff, I was like, man, I'm really interested in this country, and I'll just do my research. I taught myself the language. I'm not as fluent as I should be, but I am very beginner. I was teaching myself Japanese. I found some pen pals online to practice English with. One of them being one of my good friends to this day. And also at the time, I wanted to do missions work. I wanted to go to
Mm.
Japan and be a missionary because I still have God in my life, and I still want to use my life for God's glory.
So let me ask you this: Did you experience any type of racism in Japan as a black man? Because I know they have like, there's a word that they use for foreigners over there.
Gaijin.
Gaijin, there you go. That's the one. That's the one. Did you
Yeah.
experience any type of racism as a gaijin over there, particularly more as a black man? Because it's. Did you experience that?
No, I
Mm.
haven't. Honestly, that was probably the most hospital place I've ever been to in my life. Of course, before going, that's stuff you research, and
Mm.
you either got 50-50. Some people said it was a really racist place. Others said it'll be fine. But in my experience, like they treated me like family. Like these are people I've never met ever, and this is the first time they washed my clothes. I ate with their family. They didn't even let me use my own like wash rag. They gave me one. They fed
Wow.
me. Like I felt like part of the family.
Look at that,
And
man.
and for me in Japan society, it's not necessarily that you're black or white. You're just non-Japanese.
Ah,
So
okay, 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 okay,
yeah,
okay.
it's more of a cultural thing. Like
Yeah.
Gaijin are just non-Japanese people, and because our cultures can be so different in the West than the East, it's more of that cultural clashing when a lot of people go there and they don't really like follow
Mm.
the social stigmas and the rules. So, and Japanese are very non-confrontational type of people. So, in order to just avoid conflict at all, some places might ban foreigners or they might treat you a certain way or expect you not to learn Japanese. And because generally foreigners are a bit more scarier looking, I guess, than Japanese because they're
Yeah, yeah,
bigger, But
Yeah.
honestly, in my experience, if you research the culture, if you respect the culture, if you don't overstate your boundaries, or you do something that's culturally like illegal,
Mhm.
you should be
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, yeah. That makes perfect sense, and I'll get it because I see that from the culture. From what I see that the Japanese people are kind of really laid back. Again, that Asian vibe, which is they're more introverts than and the outgoing American coming and screaming and hey, and you know how sometimes
Legit.
Americans are over the top, etc. So I mean, it's good that you didn't experience this hostility just because of your the color of your race, out in
Yeah.
Japan, which is something that obviously is excellent. But again, I know everybody, and people might find this bad, but again, this is just endemic to human nature. We tend to feel comfortable with our groups of people.
Yeah.
That's
Tribal
just
in
human
nature.
nature. That's just human
Yeah.
nature, plain and simple. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But some people don't understand that, and they want to chalk it up. Oh, you don't accept me because of racism, etc., etc. Halftime is here. Where can people find you on their interwebs? What you have Instagram? Do you have Twitter? What do you have?
I have an Instagram and Twitter. My Instagram is it's Kyo. That's ITSKYOU.
Hmm.
And then it's the same for my Twitter account. It's ITSKYOU with an underscore. And I'm more active on Twitter. So if you want to link with me, definitely on Twitter.
Twitter is crazy, man, to be honest. I have considered getting off of Twitter. Look, I don't have followers. I have probably like 50 followers, and those are my friends. But Twitter is just, I really don't think, at least in the political atmosphere, I don't think you could have a logical conversation with
Oh
people on
no.
Twitter because there is
No.
just a mob there. They're just like, if you want to get, look, this is what I do sometimes since I cover current events and stuff like that. I go to Twitter to see what people are outraging about.
Right.
All the outrages on Twitter, I mean, is insanity. What
It's
is
like
the
people looking for stuff to get outraged by.
Yeah, from
Yeah.
their couch while on their phone and having all the food that they want, having a shelter, they want to just feel outraged. They want to, I mean, it's insanity. What
It's
is the
crazy.
purpose of your channel? What is the purpose of your social media? Why are you talking out here?
So for my YouTube channel, this is back in 2018. This is when I really first started getting into politics and how I
Mhm.
was introduced. And the thing is, like, around me, there was not much people that I can talk to because for me at the
Mm.
time, I was the only person who thought the way I did.
Yeah.
And sadly, even talking with a lot of black people about my viewpoints, they're not the kind of people that will listen to you and just have a conversation. We can
Yeah.
agree to disagree. It ends up getting very emotional. They start attacking your character, so I feel very alone.
Yeah.
So at the time, I thought, let me just put my ideas online, and that's a way for me, I guess, vent because it's like
Hmm.
you have all this stuff to say, but you have no one to say it to.
So yeah.
So then I just started posting videos, and I posted about what I felt, my experience with my walkaway video,
Yeah.
how I
Yeah.
don't believe in white privilege, and that's kind of where it started.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, so it's actually like a way to vent, and I could identify with that because sometimes it's hard to share your views, or you got to know, you got to be
yeah,
very careful to say that you share some conservative views.
yeah.
Automatically, the people trying to link conservatism with the KKK or with the Nazi, or you're a racist, or you're this, and I'm pretty
Everyone's
sure
alt right.
I and I know of the attacks that you get online just for talking about different points of views, and sadly, a lot of the times it just comes from your own people, which is the crazy part about it.
Yeah,
So, in the black community, you mentioned in one of your videos, like there's an anti diversity of thought and you go into the music and whatnot, but of culture, right? And let's not even bring up politics, right? There's anti-diversity of
right,
politics in
right.
the black community, and sometimes you're considered white if you divert from the path, right? If you divert from no, well, if you listen to country music as a black person, that means you are you're a white supremacist. I'm just saying, or you're
You're
supposed to,
right.
like you said, just listen to rap and R&B. But that can be further from the truth. There's a lot of diversity. As a matter of fact, Joe Biden said that the black community, and he got a lot of heat for saying that. He said that
Oh yeah,
you're very monolithic in nature, and he was
in the
compared to
way
the
of thinking
Latinos.
or
You
something
remember?
like that.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
How do you this anti-diversity that you experience at being a member of the black community? How would you describe it? What would you say exactly it is?
I think for a lot of black people, we have attached ourselves to a certain cultural identity
Hmm.
that if a black person, you have to kind of work and process in this kind of little bubble. Anything outside of that means that you're not really considered black. And I in that, for me, I grew up around black people, and of course, there's a lot of things that culturally make me black.
Hmm.
But at the same time, like I'm very open to other things. So when I was a kid, because of the things that the hobbies I would be part of, video games and cartoons and all kind of stuff, is I was exposed to different uh kind of cultures or
Hmm.
just interests. And one of those being rock music, for example. Like I
Hmm.
remember in middle school, when I would listen to rock music, a lot of people, you listen to rock music, you're not black. Or the big one, if you're not speaking in ebonics all the time, you're considered white. Like
Oh, look,
it's like for me,
he's talking like a white person, right?
why you talk like a white boy? Oh my
Yeah.
god. And I also think even when it comes to thought, we're kind of taught that all black people need to think a certain way, and if you think differently from that, you're not considered black, because we've attached all these things to a black identity instead of really just being an individual. So for me, I was kind of an oxymoron, because in some ways that do enjoy hip hop. I love hip hop. I'm a big
Hmm.
hip hop head. I love hip hop, R&B and
Hmm.
soul and jazz and all that. But at the same time, I do like heavy metal. I do like pop, and things that are considered white.
Yeah.
So I do feel like in a way there is a stigma of that. If you're only black if you stay in a certain bubble, pretty much.
Yeah. I have a curious, a bit of a crazy little story. I've been raised my whole life around Latinos and blacks, right? So
Mm,
you have the the music that we used to listen to was rap music. I was raised Christian, mind you. My parents are fully Christian. They're Christian, but
mm,
my father and my mother told us, listen, don't listen to that rap music. And I'm that's the music we predominantly listen to, me and my brothers, right? So we
right,
listening to this, and when I get into actually high school, we moved over. I'm from New York, right? So we moved over to New Jersey because my father was looking just for a better life. He has young boys growing up, and he don't want them to be in New York. So he took us over to New Jersey, right
right,
across the tunnel there to Union City, New Jersey. And there I got introduced to, there was a little bit more of a diversity when it came to music. There still was still a lot of rap, heavily, but there was other types of music. And then there also, you know what came around there for the first time? I started seeing, what do they, ravers, a raver. They will wear their long the pants with the like huge like bell bottoms, and they will wear black and stuff like that. And that caught me like, what's
right,
a
right,
raver?
right.
That's, I'm like, okay, so I got that there, right? And then also I got introduced to rock music there, which I fell
Mm,
in love with. And I listen to rock to this day.
yeah.
Actually, I play the guitar. I play the guitar, so I and the electric guitar, so I love my distorted sound, music sound, and all that stuff.
Nice. I just decided to pick it up. I just got one recently.
Go for it, man. It's gonna be a little bit of a challenge in the beginning, but
Yeah.
you're gonna love it. I'm telling you, you're going to love it when that whole
Nice.
thing opens up for you. But let's
Looking forward
continue
to it.
here. The victim mentality. There's a quote. I love this quote by Booker T. Washington. It goes to the effect. It's not a direct quote, but it goes to the effect that there's some people and he's talking about the black community, and obviously Booker T. Washington is a black man.
Yeah.
He's saying that uh, there's some in the black community who never want to lose their grievances, meaning their I guess you could call it their
Mm,
victimology, because
yeah.
uh, being a victim pays. Do, do you get that sentiment of, well, you said you have, but I want you to explain that a little bit, that there's constant like playing the victim and blaming other people for your problems and your personal shortfalls. What do you say to that?
I think definitely. I think a lot of people in today's society, we wear victim mentality or the victimization as a badge of honor, like it's something to
Mm,
be proud about. And I also feel like in being a victim, you're never responsible for your shortcomings. So it's not, you can't take personal responsibility. You can always place the blame on a certain group of people or a broken system or something like that, because then you're not responsible for your own actions.
yeah.
And for me, a big reason why I hate that mentality is because even growing up as a kid, for me, I had a lot of potential. I found I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be an artist because I was pretty good at art for my age. Like for me, the sky was the limit. compared to everyone else in my family. But because everyone else around me thought like a victim, they kind of, I feel like, put chains on me because of that. And even when I went through what I went through, like there's a certain period in my life where literally anything that can go wrong went wrong, and partially that was because of my family, the stuff they did to me. And for a good period in my life, like I was just blaming the world for my problems. Like, why am I going through this? It's my mom's fault, it's my sister's fault, it's because I never had this growing up, blah 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 blah. So it's not until where I was at my lowest point where I really saw myself in the mirror and I saw myself for who I am. And once I realized that I was a problem, then things started to change instantly. Like my whole life changed after that, because my whole mentality was, okay, life is unfair, but what are you going to do with that? So I feel like in a lot of ways, what's being preached to us about being a victim is that we want to be you want people to feel sorry for you. You want people to say, "Oh, it's okay. You're a victim. Oh my God, life is so hard." And we like that feeling, but in the end, it's only crippling us in the end, because that's not incentivizing you to go and get it. Like,
to do anything
go
at all
make the life you want. Right. So I do feel like a lot of people do wear that. Black people wear that as a badge of honor, because we've kind of made victimization an identity. It's who we are. Black people are always victim, because you will hear multiple Black people say that across the globe, Black people are hated everywhere and blah, 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 blah. So I feel like it does block our potential, and we do wear it as a badge of honor. Like, I'm proud to be a victim,
No, I mean, I get you, man. I mean, it's like, for example, that's why there's a lot of people who are against, for example, the reparations, right? I'm like, why would you get reparations if you didn't experience it? I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever.
Exactly.
I mean, so why are you still playing the victim, and you want to actually get some benefit because of the suffering of other people's? I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever. But let's move on here. You mentioned also in you talk about the Black church, and how is the Black church tackling racism, and are they helping or are they adding to the fire? Quick question, actually story. There's a guy, a preacher that I mentioned to you by the name of Vudi Vanchan. He's a Black guy. He's actually very prominent Black preacher. You could look him up. Very strong male, what I will call an alpha male, right?
Right.
Preacher,
right.
Very Black man, very strong character. He's in Africa. He's living in Africa. He took his whole family from America. He's doing some type of mission work. I'm not sure if he's like the leader of something over there, and he's been living out in Africa for like 5 years. But I guess he comes back every so often to the States, and he's seen this cultural Marxism and these movements of Marxism, and he's very involved in the politics, and he knows what. He's not ignorant to the devices of the devil, right? Or he's not ignorant to the whole political sphere, right? And he said that he had to leave the Black church because the Black church, or the church that he was in, was more Black than godly. It was putting like you mentioned in one of your videos, skin color first, and we're supposed to be kingdom first. Explain that to me.
Okay, so in the Black community, I feel in a lot of ways, because of the whole victim mentality, it's like an insecure person in a lot of ways trying to find their self-worth. So they start glorifying their skin as a way to compensate, to make them feel like they're worth something. Because it's like, because we feel like so much people hate us, we have to recompensate. So for us, feeling like our skin is something to be worshipped by. And it's not literally in the sense that people worship Black skin, but more of like it becomes such a priority.
Well, just look at Beyonce. Just look at Beyonce's last album. She said, "Black is king."
Right.
Imagine if it was flipped around, white is king, or brown is king. I mean, it would be crazy. But continue.
Riots everywhere. No, riots everywhere. I'm telling you, it'd be like, how dare they? And in the Black church, in my experience, what I'm seeing kind of both halves. There's one half that's buying into all that narrative about systematic oppression and racism, and it's not like they don't even have their own kind of opinions on it. It's like they sound like the leftist mob. Then you have other churches where they still do believe in that stigma. However, they're actually trying to find a solution. Like, they still want to bring people together. They still want to have unity, because, and of course, in the Bible, in the book of Revelation, it says that all races will be together, of all nations worshiping the Lord. So
that's powerful. That's powerful.
Yeah,
where God doesn't, and God says there's no special. There's nobody special, right? And that's what it says. Everybody's equal, and And like you said in the book of Revelations, it says that when we get to heaven, everybody's gonna be worshiping together. All creeds, all ethnicities, all languages, everybody has mentions
Right.
it mentions zero anything about race. It doesn't mention about looking or judging people based on the just of the color of their skin. It makes no no mention
Completely.
of that. And like you said, you feel like some of them are not tackling the issue biblically, but with a worldly type of uh, view on the subject.
Yeah, they're more going with what the world is saying instead
Mm.
of, okay, let's go to God in prayer and see what God is saying about it. Let's see if what's being preached is actually true or not. You know?
It's crazy, but I mean, I know what what you mean. I see some, and not only black churches, but churches in general, churches in general,
Yeah, yeah,
featuring
yeah,
this, embracing this BLM and Black Lives Matter movement, and this all cultural Marxism and all these things based on race. I'm like, what are you? When does Jesus come and resolve the issue? Shouldn't that be the first solution if you're in the church? But apparently,
right. Jesus is the solution to all things, right?
apparently is not. We have talked about a lot of the problems, and one of my criticisms about the left is that they only criticize problems, and they never give
Yeah,
solutions to the problems. What
exactly.
is something, and then they put the solution is still not on them, it's still on somebody else. Still, and it's on a
Yep.
government law or somebody else doing something. What do you think is something that the community, the black community, could start doing today? Like right now is September 5th, 2020. What could they start doing today, right now, that you're gonna see a substantial change in the outcome of the black community in the United States?
I would say it starts by the foundation. I think we need a cultural revolution about how
Mm,
we view
oof,
family
that's powerful,
and
man.
relationships yeah, between men and women. I think because of how broken the black family is, it's the cause of almost every single problem that we're facing against. And I think once the family is restored, the foundation is restored, then we can build on that and start fixing everything else. So I really do think what can really change now is how men and women see each other, and that it's a both union, blessed by God, and that it's not a battle of the sexes, and really understanding the roles of men and women. But not only that, the importance of family. I think that really needs to be restored, because I feel like right now in the black community, it's more about me, what I can do to better my life. I don't care who I gotta hurt in order to get ahead. Sex is just some transaction. It really means nothing. I go
Yeah,
around and have
yeah,
sex
yeah,
wherever
yeah.
I want. You know what I'm saying? You have women out here bragging about how good their vagina
Yeah,
is.
yes, yes, definitely.
Can't
I mean,
cook, can't clean.
it's insanity where we have
Yeah,
gone. How women could literally come out here and say this, and then and on the same slope, on the same paper, ask, "Hey, why are you looking at me a certain way, or why do you treat
exactly,
me, or why do I have this stereotype about me?" But just look at
exactly.
how you're portraying yourself. I mean, you're literally portraying yourself like trash, and you help these stereotypes that are being promoted. So how would you? Why would you want something different? Makes no sense. But but I'm gonna tell you right now, man, that the way you phrase it when you say what we need is a cultural revolution, man, that is a powerful statement right there, because again,
Yeah.
this is something culture, we decide culture. The government doesn't decide culture. Nobody
Nope.
decides culture. We decide culture. And if we change culture to something that, like you said, the base, the family, the foundation, like you said, the foundation, if the foundation sits on the rock, the house will be good. If the
Exactly.
foundation is in sand, then the house is gonna fall with the first little windstorm that comes, with the first little rain is gonna come. But right now the foundation is crumbling, and you have speaking truth. But for just that, people would, what is this guy talking about? This guy makes no sense. Something so simple, it makes perfect sense.
Right.
Could we
Right.
fix the foundation, people? You'd be like, stop it. It's somebody else. Somebody else got to come and fix our foundation. We can't do anything about it. It's because where we're at. No, could we
Right.
do?
Completely. And it's like, even you see that even black families in the Jim Crow South were a lot better than they are right now, because even despite the racist laws and the hatred, if you had a strong family unit which entails a strong community, people can get ahead. And even I was reading a part of Thomas Sowell's book called Black Rednecks and White Liberals,
Mm,
and he was talking about middle minorities, or
I,
basically
I,
minorities. successful.
I love
Yeah,
Thomas Sowell, man. Thomas Sowell is
amazing.
the guy's a genius, man. To be honest, bro. The
Dude,
guys is
I've
when you
learned
talk about the cream of the crop when it comes
yeah,
to intellectual thought, cream of the crop of the top
cream of the
of the
crop.
top. You're talking about Thomas Sowell. I love that man.
One of the most brilliant men I've ever in my life was able to experience. Like I've learned more from him than I ever done like the last 24 years of my life. And in that book, he was mentioning how a lot of these middle minorities in different countries, whether it be the Chinese, the Armenians, or the Jews,
Mhm.
a cultural trait that they have is that they have strong family. You know, the family helps to raise the business up. They help their family, different countries like that, a tight unit. And he was saying compared to like blacks and the Irish in America, where they have a lot more individual success, like in fields like music and acting and
Mhm.
sports or whatever. He said they're because of the culture formed by the family,
Mhm.
it kind of dictates what career path they choose. So because more black and Irish were more coming from broken homes, their career paths would be more individual in nature. While because of the other middle minorities, they were more family oriented. They tend to do a lot more entrepreneurial business and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So I would say definitely well, first of all, we need God back in the home, definitely, because only really God can change the heart of a man. Once He comes in, everything else will follow from that. But like what was stated before, I think the foundation, the viewpoints of the family, definitely needs to be changed, and for the better.
Amen, man. You said it, man. Starts with God, then we go into the family, and that's it. Once we take care of those two things right there, and it's funny because the black community is it's a very like Christian based community. I mean,
It is. It
that's what it
is.
is, and actually very conservative in views, to be honest.
Yes.
Very. So
Yes.
I mean, we just have to return to that. And go from there. And it's crazy. Let's we're winding it down here, but I want to ask you now. Let's look directly into politics. I see a lot of people, like for example, like you, who are not afraid, right, to come out and be a black person and be on the other side, right, and you continue to talk about your views, right? The conservative twins, ABL, I follow a lot, Anthony Brian Logan, people like that.
Yep.
Um, where do you see the black vote in 2020? Do you have an opinion on that, on the black vote? Where because I see, to be honest, there's a big wave, a big black
Yeah.
wave coming with new ideas and new ideologies coming into the
Yeah.
Republican Party and voting
Yeah.
different than their grandmothers and their fathers. Do you see that also?
Oh, definitely. I do believe there's a lot more black people who support Trump,
Mm.
who are more may not be Democrat or Republican, but
Hmm.
they're at least they're not leftist. They're more
Yes,
center or
yes,
center
yes.
right. And I think for a lot of us, there's a lot of us who do support Trump or agree with what he's doing, but because of the stigma that we're gonna get if we speak up, a lot of people are kind of hush hush about it.
Mm.
So even my experience, I just learned recently, a few of my friends are actually conservative, and I didn't know.
Because they were probably scared to tell you, right? They probably
Right.
they were scared. Like, yo, should I tell this person? I don't know. I mean, it makes sense.
Right, right, exactly. So I do think even what was it? Trump got 8% of the black vote in 2016, and they're saying it's somewhere around 30%, if I'm quoting the numbers right. So I think definitely more black people are waking up to the nonsense. So I definitely see more support now for Republicans or just non-Democrat from black people for sure.
Man, I think it's gonna be. I'm leaning towards a landslide, to be honest, in November.
Oh
But
yeah,
but God
if
knows, you know.
Trump can win without the black vote, and now he has more black voters, I mean,
And he
I think
getting
it's a
Trump.
landslide.
Trump is also getting a lot of Latinos and stuff like that. There's a lot of people. The
Yeah.
silent majority is silent, and you have voices like you and me talking out there and representing. But there's a lot of people who, like your friends, they just want to keep it on the low. They really
Yeah.
they don't want problems. Nobody who wants problems. Nobody does. Nobody wants
Mhm.
problems, but they keep it on the low. But November, they're gonna shout. November 3rd, they're gonna shout in that booth when they sign that.
Definitely.
To end it up here, and I want to be honest with you, man. I want to ask you this question. Are you pandering to white people, man?
Of course I am. You didn't notice. I'm
Yeah.
joking. I'm joking. Not at all, man. I think for myself, uh, just me personally as a person, there's too much in my life where I've always been wanting to be accepted by people because I
Hmm.
always felt like I was an outlier in multiple areas. And for me, recently I just had to learn that, dude, I have to seek truth for myself,
Hmm.
and I can't, try to seek other people's approval. There's a saying, from a Christian artist I used to love named Lecrae. He said, "You live for people's approval, you die from their rejection." So
Mm.
it doesn't matter what color or creed you are. If I'm not doing anything that's against God's will and I'm standing up for truth, that's who I offend. I can care less who likes me or not because for me, I say what I say because I believe it's truth. I believe it can set people free, and I believe that there's too much lies going around. So if my viewpoint tends to be more greed with a certain group of people, so be it. But regardless if they agree with me or not, I'm still gonna believe what I believe in. So I don't pander to anybody. I don't care what people think. I'm just trying to say the truth and trying to set people. Wake people up is what I'm trying to do.
So you're an individual thinker. You have your own thoughts, and you want people to respect you for having your own thoughts, which is
Exactly.
good. I mean, but sometimes in this society, is insanity where we at in 2020. And I hope the rhetoric and everything just turns down a little bit. To be honest, I hope when Donald Trump wins in November 3rd, I hope he gets a little bit more. He turns it up to like level 9,000 and stop all these lootings and all these things and all this stuff because it's hurting people. And I think it's
These
not.
Democrats ain't gonna do it.
Yeah, the Democrats are adding a lot of fuel to the fire. They want. It's like Kamala Harris the other day. She was like, she wanted the looting to continue. Like she didn't say it like that 100%, but she wanted like the protest to continue. Like you say it
Kind of implied that.
indirectly. Yeah, you say it indirectly, and she has tweeted support for example, funds that were taking out these protesters out of jail and all that stuff. So we know where it's coming from. Again, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think it should be close in November. Just knowing Joe Biden. Joe Biden doesn't. I mean, and I say it sadly, man. I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that, but Joe
Of
Biden has
course.
some type of mental issues already, and he should be.
Yeah, he's starting to break down.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
should be retired. But again, this is the Democratic Party, and they don't care. They did want to put somebody up. I want to finish it up. I want to thank you, man, for remembering about me when I originally sent you the invite and you had a little
Mhm.
issue that you couldn't do it at the time, but you hit me back up and you were asking me if I was still interested, and I said yes, I'm still interested because I love to speak to people who
Mm.
don't who don't are not. It's not like you're listening to CNN or something like that. They're just
Yeah.
repeating, regurgitating thoughts that they heard somewhere else. You have
Exactly.
original thoughts and you are counter culture, which I love and I appreciate that. I want to leave the floor to you. And what is the if if Kyle had the platform of, let's say, the White House, what would be your 2-minute speech? What would you tell America? What would you tell the world? The floor is yours.
I would definitely say by no country is perfect. Every country has had their sins, and America sadly is a country that had a lot of mistakes. However, this is the most freest country in I mean, that's why everyone always comes over here to try to seek a better life because America gives an opportunity for that. I would also say that, think for yourself. I know we live in the information age, and sadly, with that, there's a lot of misinformation that's going around. I would say get your sources from multiple people on the left, people on the right, and think for yourself. Don't just buy into something because it sounds popular or makes sense. Do your own research, do your own homework so that you yourself can know who's speaking truth or not. And just don't take what everyone says for truth. Research everybody, including me, including conservatives, everybody. Don't just take our word
Everybody.
for it. Go look it up for yourself and you be affirmed for yourself. I would also say, man, life is what you make it. I know everyone has been through crap in life, including me. I'm pretty sure you've been through your own issues and trials in life,
Hmm.
but it's what you do with those decisions and what you do with the hand you're giving, pretty much. I would also say, man, if God is for you, who can be against you? Just if you keep God first, and man, like life is not gonna be easy, but you can get through it. And definitely just want to encourage everybody, man, like pursue your dreams, live your life. Don't have a heart full of hatred. No one's perfect, but yeah, just seek truth and keep standing up for what's right. Is what I would say.
Amen. 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 Man, there's a saying that says that if life gives you lemons, you make lemonade.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
And that's what it is, brother. Thank you so much again. Go follow him on Twitter. I mean, on Twitter, on Instagram. I'm gonna be leaving links to his stuff all down in the comments or in the description of the video. So go show him some love, man. This is a real genuine. I believe he's a real genuine individual. He's a laid back. I see that he's cool, laid back. I'm a little bit more boisterous and more crazy and more loud. But if you like his way of speaking and all that, go check him out. Go give him a like. Say, hey, yo, I saw you on the Valentine show, and go show him some love over there. Guys,
Definitely.
thank you so much for being one more time. Remember to share the video, share the content, always put on your notifications. Very important, because YouTube is not
Yep.
showing you guys the video. So go do that stuff and take care. God bless. Godspeed. Me, Valentine. I am out.
Thank you for having me.